All right, cyber traders, welcome on back, and perhaps to close things out for the entire week. Right, market is closed tomorrow. With that in mind, great to see Leda, Grant, and all of us live inside the cyber group room. Bill and Norman and Nina and Michael, and all of us perhaps rejoining us right now as well. And hey, if you're joining us once again on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back as well, folks. We have a lot to talk about here because, to be transparent, although we weren't expecting a whole lot to happen today, a lot's happened today. So we have a lot to recap. And with that, we have to rescan the market, see what else is moving out there otherwise. LEXX on the screen right now. I don't know. I'm not too particular about putting this type of stock on the afternoon list. Ended up making a nice move from the morning, so we could at least recap it from the market open today. Let me finesse my chart here. All right, so we ended up seeing this begin to drop off from the initial breakout it made in pre-market. That was all prior to the market opening up. So usually that's a red flag. Well, with that, it ended up taking a little time, but it actually made a really nice breakout. Gave us a really good opportunity right off the 350 level effectively, and then ended up running up from there. Actually got halted on the way up and even continued afterwards. Ended up, pulling back and consolidating a tiny amount, but ended up breaking out a little bit higher later on. But again, this type of stock, we've seen this all throughout this entire week. Tax season, and we obviously the market's closed tomorrow, and with Easter Sunday ahead, I don't think the market is the top thing on everyone's mind, aside from perhaps selling off prior to a big drop. So that's why perhaps the market was dropping back down once again today. But nevertheless, this type of stock we've seen all throughout this week between the BCDA trade, pop and drop. Look at where it is even 2 days later from when we first started to watch it. The BDSX, if I'm not mistaken, right? And those are just two. If I really wanted to waste your time, I would go down the list entirely. But for right now, for the LEXX, it ended up actually making a nice bounce earlier, going into the afternoon. But I'm not fully sold on it. I feel like it will only kind of just pull back down, and it already started to. I was a little fearful of that going into the meeting. So I don't know, not too particular about it for this afternoon, but a nice trade from this morning at least. Now, I will say, though, let me just jump to one particular trade, and then otherwise we'll recap any of the other movers as we go across the percent gainers and losers lists ahead. But Twitter, we wouldn't have found it on either because it's actually like down 0.6%. I'm in this trade right now as a short. I just wanted to make mention of that because this is still very tradable. We're gonna, put this on our watch list here for the afternoon. But this was actually a phenomenal short right from the get-go this morning. Listen, whether you like Elon Musk or hate Elon Musk, you heard Fausto phrase it that way in the morning meeting. But it doesn't matter. Your opinion on that does not matter, right? It's a matter of just following the volume, following the big orders that get filled. Because, again, on the flip side, for the stocks that ended up coming out with good news this week, BCDA, BDSX, the two that I just showed, well, those didn't go up. So you can't just buy the stock when there's good news out. So, you can't put personal opinion into trading. With that, hey, personally, I thought we would have seen Twitter make a little move up this morning. I thought the street would have, pushed it up a little bit, but didn't happen. Ended up being a great short as it ended up just initially breaking under big support at 48. We ended up seeing some selling initially there in pre-market. So as soon as the market opened up on Twitter, man, this ended up slamming right under 48. From there, held it as resistance after. Allow me to zoom out on this chart briefly. I ended up shorting this initially right from the 48 level as it ended up, it actually broke above and right back under like by a penny, but it ended up shorting it initially from 47.89. It was on a half size position. I am in on a full size position right now though. So I got my stop set, good to go on this for right now. I felt as if Twitter would look to continue to drop off heading into the afternoon for a couple of reasons. I mean, just general direction on the intraday chart to begin, but look at the market right now. It's beginning to make that pull back down again here. So Twitter could easily follow the market as well. Well, on top of those two, the daily chart, for as much as it dropped, like, why can't this continue to pull back a little bit closer to the lows that we had from the last few days? I mean, that's still pretty far away in retrospect. I think those lows were at 44.50, 44.44. So, I don't think it's going to reach that exact low. but I feel like you can get a little bit closer. It's $1 away. Why can't we get an extra 50 cents out of this? So I ended up shorting this actually from yesterday's closing bell print right off of 45.85. I wrote that inside the trading room just a bit earlier, just repeating the fact that that was a very strong level. So hey, I ended up getting chopped around once on it. I took like a 5 cent loss initially when I re-entered it, but then I jumped back in. The stars aligned, and for right now, definitely it looks pretty good as a short going into the close. All right. I'll be watching this on my other screen. Hopefully, I'm not a jackass and waste this trade if it ends up pushing back up. So, I got my eyes on this as we now go through across the gainers and losers list here. But let's see what we got. Eagle on YouTube liking that Twitter trade. I appreciate that. It treated us pretty nicely today, thankfully. So it's not just the trade I took, but it's the fact that it allowed us to, take that trade. It followed the levels really well. Not every stock follows levels exceptionally well. So, look at this. Wow, number one on the gainers list right now works. I didn't know if this was up from the morning or now. Obviously, now this thing just popping here. So from 90 cents all the way up to nearly 150. There's an order on the ask there at 150 for about 25,000 shares. Hey, it looks great. How could we not, right? Simple enough. Now, as far as like historical levels, it kind of seems as if like 127-ish, 125-ish was a pretty big historical support it held above back last year. Kind of topped off there, I think, or well, it popped above it today, but 125, 127 coming up right here. I'll even check back in on this trade just before we wrap up. I'll put a line there right now, quick. See if that can hold coming up here. All right, we're looking good on Twitter there. I do want to get out of that Twitter trade if we can see 45 by the end of this meeting. Medieval, or whatever the name is, Medieval Holdings. Nonetheless, we've been kind of calling it Medieval. MDVL ended up making a nice big pop from the end of last week. Even ended up continuing to push up from Monday, and then obviously dropped off the last few. Nice push back up once again today, even to the point where it broke above the high from Monday. Unfortunately, now, though, this thing is really dropping off pretty sharply here. It made a distinct lower high right off of 240-ish, 242. And then beginning to slump off once again here. So, we can't short it. Not going to really put a focus on this trade now at this point. All right, BRQS, another cheapie. We got a lot of cheapies on this gainer side here, so we'll kind of skim through them or skip over them as we go. But let's see what else we got. The CRXT, put this in the same category as the Lex trade, two inexpensive stocks that made good moves from earlier today. Lex a little bit more active compared to that CRXT trade. So, that meaning I like Lex a little bit more so far if we're comparing the two. But for right now, we'll kind of pass on both. MARPS, MARPS. Wow, this ended up making a big pop for us back in March, and then even before that, this trade ended up made a big pop. But it's not the pops that we should be talking about. It's the reactions after the moves are over with that you want to focus on. Don't get stuck holding on to this trade. This MARPS trade ended up, being the exact pop and drop type of stock you don't want to hold on to for a long period of time. History has a tendency to repeat itself, right? So on all these days back at the end of 20, beginning of 21, this is strictly a day trade stock, folks. So with that, you could just see how thin and really paper thin the order book is. Big spread, very thin volume on both the bid and the ask. It's moving up really nicely. Nice chart for right now on the intraday. So I'll put it on our list. I'll check back in on this one also by the end of it. If this one ends up completely dumping off, I'll scratch it off. I think I said right the was that the CRXT trade down. I said I'd come back to. That was the 125. Oh no, I lost my footing on the other. What was it? Works here with the 125. Yeah, it works. Okay. All right, it's there now. We'll see if that 125 could hold support. Let's keep it going across the gainer side for right now, though, folks. Not a whole lot that we ended up trading across these stocks here. I know SBEV had a little pop earlier, and this one we ended up trading like a few months ago, if I'm not mistaken. Not a whole lot happening there now. All right. We got one of us inside the trading room, Patrick, saying IMPP, and that was before I turned over to it, and that was from about 5 minutes ago to be exact. But yeah, this thing's actually making a really good move right now. IMPP, it's up over 13%. You have a 47,000 share. Oh, nope, not even that. Well, 150, you would assume 150, 78,000 roughly on the offer there at 150. But even above that, if it breaks 150 coming up, 160 should be pretty strong. But IMPP, hey, if this stock can make a fraction of the type of run it made for us back at the end of February, early March, we would love it. I know that one of us mentioned that crude oil, moving up pretty nicely right now, and IMPP, if I'm not mistaken, was one of those, energy or oil related stocks, right? So maybe we could check in on like an INDO, ISPC. I don't know if these are all related or affiliated. The ISIG trade, not as much. That's all right. All right, that's fun. The IMPP though looks good. I'll put that on our list. Oh, we got the 9 trade. That was another one. NINE. This one's moving up pretty nicely here as well. Decent spread here. And the order book is relatively liquid. So, this one I like also. 9. I think ENSV was another one. I don't really see it on the gainer side just yet. One of us calling out Johannes. It's at the highs. It's so slow, though. I mean, the only reason that I do actually like it more than that is just the fact that it's like kind of approaching the highs from the last week or two on the daily chart. Monthly highs, maybe that's 52-week highs, perhaps even. I'll figure that out just a bit. Yep, looks like it. Multi-year highs. Wow, nowhere near all time, but it's to say at least this is pretty much stuck right around this congestion area that we had back from like 18, 19, 20 here. It's had a tough time, breaking above that pretty cleanly. So I don't know. I'll come back to this at the end, Johannes. I mean, it's more of a level 1 or 2 stock, so it definitely doesn't hurt us to put this on our list. But in terms of opportunity cost, so far I like the others a little bit more, like the IMPP or 9 or the Twitter short right now, beginning to break down towards the low. Let's see anything else on the gainer side here that may look good. All right, that's just about it on the gainer side for right now, folks. Hey, if there's anything that I missed that's up, type it in the chat board. Let me know right away. Going to jump on over to the losers list here. PTGX shortable. Take a look at it. Actually made a nice little move. More so pre-market. I guess the stock got hammered in the after hours yesterday. Yeah, big gap down. Then from there, ended up making a bit of a squeeze up from pre-market into the open. But I don't know. I mean, don't have a great need to trade this stock or follow it. It does have pretty thin volume on the book, and I like the others a hell of a lot more. I like the Teltrade a hell of a lot more even. So. All right, we keep it going, folks. We keep it moving. Really quickly, I'm going to bring up level 4 on the Twitter trade just before we finish up the losers list, or just after we finish up the losers list here. So I just wanted to kind of configure that first. There's about 51,000 shares on the bid at $45 for Twitter. All right, that's all I see really on the loser side, folks. And this isn't me being lazy. If there is anything that looks good, let me know. But I'm just kind of skimming through between price and volume, and I could just tell there's jack remaining on this losers list here. So I feel like we're just about finished up, folks. Listen, it's the day before Passover. It's the day before Good Friday, of course. We have Easter on Sunday. Ron W., one of our longtime members inside the trading room, asking, will there be a riddle, a Thursday riddle inside the live trading room? One of our longtime members, Leda, ends up giving us a nice little riddle to figure out at the end of every week. I hope so, Ron. I hope so. Leda says yes. All right. How about this? If you want to join us inside our live trading room, catch our Thursday riddle. Join us by going right down to the yellow link on the banner below right there for all of us on YouTube or Facebook Live, or if you wanted to sign up and join for next week entirely. But otherwise, folks, I think that's pretty much all I got. John says HUSA. Bill says HUSA. I think that was another one, right? Another one of those energy or oil stocks. Wow, this one's looking good. All right, HUSA. I appreciate the shout, folks. Very nice from Bill and John. And Leda. And Leda up top there. I'm going from bottom to top. I apologize, Leda. Going from bottom to top in our chat board. So that's where I'm reading that. And then what else do we have, folks? Oh, look at that. Perfect timing. INDO. What do you know? We probably turned over to this thing, what, like a second before it took off? Maybe 30 seconds before this thing just took off? Oh, man. All right, there we go. This thing might be getting halted again here coming up. So we have INDO, we have the HUSA. Watch ENSV probably popping, making a pretty strong move right now. It's up over 15%. I don't know how I didn't find this on the gainer side here. It was there. Maybe it was just moving up as I was, on the losers list at least. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to not put this with the others for right now, right? Any of the others energy oil stocks out there? I feel like there's like one or two more that we're missing. Let me just check Benzinga Pro before we wrap up. INDO, Archon, or let's just check those out quick. I mean, the INDO we caught already. Archon, BORR. I think Bohr's a cheapie also. $4.80 stock. It's at the highs. But it's also got thin volume on the book. I like the others more than this so far. USWS. Not a whole lot happening there just yet. We can keep all of these on the side list for right now, though, folks. I mean, hey, I'm sure that they'll pop throughout the afternoon if we continue to see traction on the INDO or ENSV or the others like 9 or IMPP that are already on the list. All right. All right. Before we wrap up, I did want to just check back in on the Twitter trade. We do have some big support at $45. It's going to be tough for that to break, 45. 45 would be a key level to follow, and especially if we happen to have a little short covering heading into the weekend, we might happen to see a little squeak up entirely within the market, and that could, squeeze Twitter up a tiny amount. But right now, I'm expecting this to get a little bit closer down towards that 45 level, and then I'll see, if I look to scale out, maybe I'll do quarter size positions to close, or do a half size position to close, and then figure it out from there. But just wanted to show this here before we wrap up. Grant says IMPP moving well. Well, that one's already on our list. So, hey, I like that we picked that one already so far. And then Chuck saying the CEI trade, it was taking a cow kind of push, he says. Well, it's pushing up pretty nicely. I could see that. So, making a really nice run. So with that in mind, yeah, it definitely looks interesting. All right, cool. This one we'll put on our list. Oh, we'll check back in on the two, right? The TEL. It's looking strong, right? It doesn't hurt us to put this on our list, right? So we'll do that. Good call from Johannes there. And then the last one was from the gainers list, the CRXT, right? Or no, it was the CRXT, but it was the works trade I was going to check back in. That's right. Oh, so and there we go. Did not hold support too well. Looks like it held it on the first bar when we last checked in on it. Technically broke under and over, so that would be worthy of a good entry. Looking for a bounce, but if that's such a big level, then we should expect a pretty big move shortly after. Well, we actually got a pretty big move shortly after, but not the move that we were looking for. So, that's where I say at least you always need to set your stop. I was hoping for that to hold a hell of a lot better than it actually did, but it just goes to show that you can't guarantee it, right? Chuck says was taking a call. All of the oil, he says, HUSA, IMPP, INDO. Oh yeah, no, all of those are already on the list, Chuck. Those look good. All of them already on there. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up for right now for all of us on Facebook Live and YouTube. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the weekend. I hope it's really nice out where you reside. It's beautiful for the third straight day here in Long Island. I feel very spoiled with this nice warm weather, but I hope it's gorgeous out where you're located. Enjoy the weekend. Any questions that you may have, feel more than free to send on over a quick email. I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams, josh@ctutrading.com. All right, folks. But for Chuck, Grant, Leda, and then Nina, and all of us just live inside the trading room right now, I look forward to talking to you folks right at 3:30. I'm going to jump onto a call with one of our students, probably continue this short on Twitter, and then maybe catch another one at least on the afternoon list. We'll see what's out there. All right, folks, but I'll be back on right at 3:30. Talk to you soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9.